Hey guys, Loman02. I wanted to share a newer 93-94 deck in a matchup against mono black, or correction, black splash white aggro. We're playing an All Hallows Eve Reanimator build that features Bazaar of Baghdad. Note that this deck actually opens up quite a bit more once you get Ice Age and Homelands involved. But the deck is still really sweet. So basically what the goal of it is to utilize Animate Dead or All Hallows Eve to reanimate fatties. In this case, we have a Nicol Bolas at Beck and Call. Our opponent goes turn 2, Sengir Vampire. We're able to get our Nicol Bolas reanimated. Obviously, we could not do it turn 1. I mean, 1, we didn't have the mana requirements, and 2, we couldn't pay for the upkeep cost on our 6/7 flyer. Opponent Demonic Tutors and is able to Swords to Plowshares our first Nicol Bolas, which is fine. I go ahead and look here. I keep the All Hallows Eve in hopes that at some point in time I'll be able to cast this silly thing. And actually right now I'm kind of in a weird spot. So like I can pay for this Nicol Bolas, and I can get a decent attack in, but my opponent can actually crack back for 8, which is a sizable amount of damage. But we are able to get 3 cards out of their hand, so I figure that value is probably worth it. We do take the 8 here. After having gained 6 off of the last Nicol Bolas, I feel pretty fine just taking the 8 hit here. I do keep the Nicol Bolas around because I figure it's going to block well, and now my game plan is to have the Nicol Bolas stick around as long as possible, and eventually All Hallows Eve. The risk I run is if my opponent disenchants, then I'm probably going to lose the All Hallows Eve from my my hand, and I'm obliged to play any land permanents that I draw out. At this point in time, I do go for the Deep Spawn here, because Deep Spawn 1 is a 5/6 trampler, and it has Proxy Shroud with tap a blue and tap it. And any spells that target it are essentially, it says Shroud at that point. I forget what the actual original wording was. It's a lot longer. Now it just says Deep Spawn gets Shroud until end of turn doesn't untap during your next untap step. We draw into a Triskelion. We go ahead and just toss this thing away. I mean, I'm fine if he wants to trade a bunch of creatures for my 1 Deep Spawn. Because I'm trying to buy time, like I said, to get this All Hallows Eve off. Which is going to require a lot of mana because I'm already committing 3 every single turn. But another option we have is to trade our Nicol Bolas for, numerous flying threats and then try to resolve this Triskelion, which is also quite good. But I'm just kind of holding on here because my opponent's deck, I think, is faster. I do go for a draw here because I have 2 bad cards in my hand. Well, not bad cards, but 2 cards I don't intend on casting. Find the last land that I need. Resolve the All Hallows Eve. Because technically it's not suspend, it actually resolves when I cast it there. So once the 2 scream counters come off of it, you cannot counter it at that point. I suppose you could stifle it for an additional turn. I go ahead and just start bazaring away cards because I want to build my graveyard up as much as possible. Now, of note, my opponent has also lost a significant number of creature cards at this point, so they're going to get a sizable amount of playables back from their graveyard as well. My hope is that these Triskelions are able to control the board well enough, as well as Tetravis and my other flyers, to kind of keep them under control. I do go for an attack here. They have 5 cards in hand. I figure it's worth it. And if they want to trade with my Nicol Bolas, then I'm fine with that. They do Swords to Plowshares my Tetravis. They can do a significant amount of damage to me, but these Triskelions are going to keep them pretty well in check. I mean, I could kill every single one of their Hypnotic Specters at this point in time, and still really leave them with no attacks, and have 12 power trampling plus 6 power in the air next turn. So the All Hallows Eve deck takes the first game against black aggro, dark ritual aggro. This hand is actually pretty interesting. So it's very fast. The one thing it is lacking is a Bazaar of Baghdad. Of course, I'm a Luxac, and I draw into a Bazaar of Baghdad on my first turn. I could have tried to go for an Animate Dead. Not tried, but I could have gone for an Animate Dead on Nicol Bolas the first turn. I don't opt to go that route because I can't actually pay for him the next turn. So City of Brass is a strong pickup here. I just go ahead and play it out. I want to be able to pay for Nicol Bolas after I animate him. My opponent had a very all-in hand that, through Black Vice and Underworld Dreams can kind of punish a lot of draws off of Bazaar of Baghdad. But, when it comes down to brass tacks, if I'm able to animate dead and my opponent doesn't have a white source, I feel pretty comfortable having this Nicol Bolas go all the way. Additionally, Bad Moon makes it a 7/8, which is pretty good. So I am able to get the Sylvan Library off here. I don't intend on using it. I just drop my hand size so Black Vice is not a thing. I am going to have to take a damage off of this land, or the City of Brass this turn to pay for the Nicol Bolas. Oddly enough, or funny enough, I do draw into the All Hallows Eve, but I don't intend on utilizing the Bazaar of Baghdad at this point because it obviously is not really a good combo with Black Vice. I draw their strip mine off the top, but I have an additional land that will allow me to pay for the Nicol Bolas without losing him. Drawn to a Mox Jet. We're playing with restricted strip mine at this point, so pretty much their draws are negligible. I was gonna say I have to draw like I don't even know what, like a Paralyze maybe. Paralyze would work. But this is the it's a 5-color Reanimator list in Old School. And I'll pull the deck up real fast. It's pretty sweet, and it is certainly not this one. And here you are. It's a All Hallows Eve combo. So, just a bunch of fatties. So we have 4 deep spawns, which are the, I believe, 1 Homelands, or not Homelands, Fallen Empires add to this deck. 3 Nicol Bolas, 2 Tetravis, and 4 Triskelion. Triskelion a hell of a card to reanimate. It may not seem as such. I mean, it's only a 4/4 for 6 mana, but, you know, the ability to ping things and also get 3 to 4 of these into play at the same time generally means that All Hallows Eve can kind of approximate living death because you're able to kill most of the stuff that folks are going to bring back with it. Plus, there's a lot of decks that just don't have creatures in them, or have very few creatures in them, or, you know, play weenie creatures, and Triskelion tends to be good in all those situations, and it beats down just fine as a 4/4. 4 Animate Deads, 2 Sylvan Libraries, Balance, Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune, Twist, Recall, Ancestral, and then all of the powers. So it's a 5-color Reanimator list. If you look at the sideboard, we do have 1 copy of Disenchant, because Disenchant tends to be very good flexible removal. Concordant Crossroads. Having haste is actually pretty nice. Green is the lowest, or the lightest splash in this deck, so I don't think it's a good card to run main, and against some decks, just hot garbage. Red Elemental Blast, pretty ubiquitous card with sideboards, even sometimes main deck in this format. Gloom, I think, is fine because as you look at our threats, a lot of them are black or blue. Like if someone just has Cop Blue, which is not a commonly played card, they can very easily stop us. Plus, Gloom is just good against like the white weenie decks. Same with Earthquake. I tend to like it against like Rug style decks or white decks. 2 by him to Tourach, because I think it's just good versus the deck. I think it's actually probably one of the better cards in the format against the deck. Well, it and Strip Mine are probably the 2 best cards against the deck. 2 Blue Elemental Blast just to stay alive against like red deck wind style decks. A couple Energy Fluxes. Energy Flux actually, you know, it seemed like a nombo because most of my best threats are artifacts, but most of them also expend themselves. So like Triskelion is still going to be great even if you're sacrificing it. And if you are, you know, you can probably get them back with All Hallows Eve. If you get all the Triskelions back at once, that's 16 damage, you know, just out of nowhere. So, this is the 5-color Reanimator deck. The Machine, as you were, I believe is the historical name for the deck. Very cool deck, very fun to play, and pretty interesting take on an archetype in the 93-94 format. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this very short video on the Machine Reanimator in 93-94, and if it's a format that interests you, hit me up on MTGO chat, send me a challenge, and enjoy, guys. Take care now.